Good afternoon, members. I now call the meeting of the security panel to order. It's the scheduled time, and we have already got the quorum. Item number 1, information paper issued since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat has issued one paper supplied by the administration, and the title is Information Paper on Proposal for the Prescription of Registration-Related Fees and the Revamp of Fee Structure for Relevant Services of the Fire Services Department under the Fire Services Department Reports and Certificates Regulation, CAP 95C, for implementation of the Registered Fire Engineer Scheme provided by the administration. Paper number is CB bracket 2 490/2025 bracket 01. With regard to this information paper, if members think that there is a need for us to discuss it at the panel meeting, given the fact that it's a legislative proposal, you will have to notify the Secretariat before the 28th of March. As of the deadline, the Secretariat has not received any comment from members with regard to this information paper, and according to the administration, they intend to table the legislation before this council in the first half of 2025 under negative vetting procedure. If there are no further questions, then let's move on to item 2, schedule of meetings for the remainder of the 2025 session. On the 14th of January this year, the panel decided that except for decisions otherwise, the panel will have its regular meeting on the first Tuesday every month from 2:30 to 4:30, and the schedule of meetings from January to June have also been set. With regard to the proposed meeting dates for July to October, members may refer to the schedule table before you, as the 1st of July and also the 7th of October will be public holidays. So I'd like to discuss with you with regard to the regular meetings for July and June and October. They should be rescheduled to the 8th of July, which is a Tuesday from 2:30, and also for the meeting in October, it will be held on the 13th of October, Monday, at 4:30. So do you agree? Okay, thank you. Okay, then items for discussion at the next meeting. In the list of outstanding items for discussion, that's in paper CB bracket 2 554/2025 bracket 01, and also the list of follow-up actions in the paper number CB bracket 2 554/2025 bracket 02. The next meeting will be held on the 6th of May, which is a Tuesday at 2:30. The security panel proposed to discuss 2 items. One would be the Directorate post creation proposal in the Commissioner's Office responsible for the implementation of the Protection of Critical Infrastructure Computer Systems Ordinance. That's item 1 in the list, and that has to do with establishment. And the second would be replacement of very high-frequency radio communication system for Maritime Rescue Coordination Center of Marine Department. That's item 2 in the list of outstanding items for discussion, and that has to do with financial or funding proposal. So, are there other comments on top of these 2 items to be discussed at our May meeting? As these 2 items have to do with establishment and finance, so we will also be inviting all members of the LegCo to participate if they are interested. Next, let's move on to item 4 on the agenda. Visa and immigration facilitation measures for ASEAN visitors. We have the Secretary for Security with us in attendance. He'll be leading the team. And then we will also have Mr. Cheng Won-mok, IDSM, Deputy Director of Immigration, and also Ms. Joyce Chen, Principal Assistant Secretary from the Bureau to discuss with us. So please be seated, and then you can walk us through the paper. Paper number CB bracket 2554 stroke 2025 bracket 03. Whoever would like to speak, please press the button to request to speak. So are you ready, Secretary? Yes, please walk us through the paper. Well, the Bureau would like to brief members on the visa and immigration facilitation measures introduced by the SAR. Well, at the third meeting of the 14th plenary session of China, we have talk about deepening international exchanges and cooperation to be done or to be and we will also have to look at how we can play an important bridging role between the mainland and the world under its unique systems. And therefore, we will also have to attract visitors from all over the world to come to Hong Kong to visit. We would also have to provide facilitation for them to do business here. And ASEAN has tremendous economic potential. And in recent years, we have also allowed talents from Vietnam and Laos to come and work in Hong Kong, and they are also able to study in Hong Kong. And the UGC has also offered facilitation measures, and that would also help create capital. And as of now, we have already got nearly 500 talents from Vietnam and Laos to come, who have come to Hong Kong through the relaxation measures. And they have also taken up a lot of a large number of places in terms of the number of visitors. The number of ASEAN visitors in 2024 reached 3.02 million, and that would account for nearly 7%, and that has indicated a rise by some 2% when compared to the previous year. That shows the importance of ASEAN visitors to Hong Kong. We have been reviewing the system from time to time, and we have also been trying to enhance our measures, and we have also introduced a series of measures to provide facilitation to ASEAN visitors. For example, Vietnam, Laos, and also other visitors have also been able to get multiple entry visit visas. That would also depend on the number of visits that they have paid to Hong Kong beforehand. Now we are now considering how we can further relax it. For example, if they have already got track records of visiting other countries recently, and then that would also enable them to be qualified to get multiple entry visas. And also for the multiple entry visa, that would also be extended from 2 years to 3 years. So with the relaxation measures that have been introduced, during the 16 months from November 2023 to the end of February 2025, some 5,000 multiple entry visit visas applications have already been received, which is about 15 times the total number of approved applications in the past 5 years. As for those from Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, since the rolling out of the relaxation measures, 110 applications were approved in just 4 months, from November 2024 to February 2025, which is about 2 times the total number of approved applications in the past 5 years before the relaxation measures. We believe that these measures can further enhance business exchanges between Hong Kong and ASEAN and promote the flow of business personnel. On top of that, we have also introduced a fast-track arrangement for group visitors from Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Starting from October 2024, the processing of their visa applications would also be shortened from 4 weeks to 2 weeks, and that has been most welcomed by these visitors. According to our records, over some 440 groups from ASEAN countries have been involved and benefited, and that would amount to some 5,000 visitors. Also, we have also introduced this special invitation scheme, or Asia Pacific Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Business Travel Cards have also been introduced. So by invitation, they can also make use of the one-stop online platform to make their applications, and we would also reduce and streamline the information that they would be required to submit, and that would also enhance the efficiency and experience of these visitors. The response has been very positive. Well, since February the 19th, we have already issued some 240 such invitations. When compared to the time when we submitted the written report, that would also mean that some 200 more invitations have been sent out. They are from the legal and also business sector of ASEAN countries, and we believe that the scheme would also be attractive to them, and that would also help contribute to our economy, and that would also further enhance the bilateral relationship between Hong Kong and ASEAN countries. So under one country, two systems, Hong Kong has also got the distinctive role of super connector and super value adder, and therefore with these relaxation measures, we would be able to deepen the link between Hong Kong and ASEAN countries, and that would also help enhance the strategy of building further developments on the current basis. We will also be very active in explaining these measures to ASEAN countries in order to tell a very good Hong Kong story. So I'll be very happy to take members' questions. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. I can see that 8 members have indicated that they'd like to ask questions. We have also got sufficient time, so I'll give 5 minutes each. I'll read out the names: Mr. Edmund Wong, Ma Fong Kwok, Benson Lok, Johnny Ng, Martin Liao, Yang Wing Kit, Deputy Chairman, Elizabeth Kwok, and also Lai Tong Kwok. So I'll first invite Mr. Edmund Wong. Madam Chair, I can see that ASEAN visitors have already are also increasingly visiting Hong Kong, and the ratio is going up, and therefore such relaxation measures have been very effective. We have also got dedicated counters to provide facilitation to these ASEAN visitors. But then for those who are getting visa on arrival, they will still have to make application before they travel. So have you considered that when time is ripe, and also when the situation continues to develop, would that be actually better if we provide visa on arrival to these visitors? And also, since the 18th of March, we have already got some 240 visitors who have applied for the immigration facilitation scheme for invited persons. So can we be told as to who would be targeted under the scheme, who have been invited, so that they would be able to be invited under this immigration facilitation scheme, because that would also facilitate or promote our economic development? 2 questions. Thank you. Yes, Secretary. Yes, the idea of getting visa has always been that we should reduce any application procedures wherever possible, and therefore only 4 of the ASEAN countries would require visa beforehand, and others would get visa-free travel arrangement. And that's because when we look at persons who might have applied for non-repatriation under the non-refoulement arrangements. And therefore, we would also have to be careful when these persons try to enter Hong Kong. And therefore, for the time being, we are not prepared to consider allowing them to get visa on arrival. But then for these invited persons, we understand that the risks posed by them would be relatively lower, and therefore we would be prepared to offer facilitation measures to them. And it's not just about one-stop service. When they come, they can also make use of the courtesy channel, and also after they have come for the first time, then they can also apply for using the electronic channel when they come again. So that would also be another form of facilitation. And also, since we submitted the paper last time, there were 40 invitations, and now we have got 240. So who would be coming? Well, those people would be from different sectors, from the industrial sector, from the investment sector, from the business sector, from the wholesale and retail sector, catering, and also medical, and also transportation and financial, and also legal sector, and so on, and even arbitration. And if you get further breakdowns, some would be from the banking sector, and even jewelry, and also chambers of commerce heads, and so on. So the scope would be very wide-ranging. And the most important thing is, so long as we believe that they would be conducive to our economic development, then we would be prepared to offer facilitation to them when they want to come. Next, Mr. Wong.
Mr. Ma Fong Kwok. Thank you, Chair. The government has launched this invited persons facilitation scheme. I'm all for it because it will definitely help with the development of Hong Kong. You mentioned about leaders from the business and legal sectors and other sectors. But overall, the number doesn't seem to be on the high side yet. Has the government made assessment on how many people can qualify for the invitation? What is the total number? Do you have a list of their names? And then will you be drawing up certain standards? Say, leaders of chambers of commerce, leaders in different professions, we would proactively invite them. Do you have any guidelines or thresholds? And then you mentioned about the number of people to be invited. How many people have proactively responded or positively responded to our invitations? Can you give us the figure? And when you are handling such invitations, can you further streamline the process? And how long does it take for you to invite them and also for them to give response to the invitation? So he's looking at the facilitation you provide. No, so it's been, say, 2 to 3 weeks on since we launched a program on the 18th of March. We issued 240 invitations. We don't have a ceiling in the number. We are mindful only of the need. Say, if different bureaus and departments feel that there is a need and they can come up with the names, then we will consider them. So there is no cap to the number. And then Mr. Ma mentioned about the chambers of commerce. He's right in pointing that out. One of the ways we promote the program is through working through the chambers of commerce. Let me give you some background. Why do we have the program in the first place? Because some chambers of commerce in Vietnam told us that for business people coming to Hong Kong, they have to provide a lot of, say, financial information. They're apparently leaders of chambers of commerce, and they apparently carry very low risk. So hence, we think for these category of people, they can be included in the program. So people from chambers of commerce are our main targets. And then, well, the number is not yet too high. That's understandable because a number of people have made inquiries with us on the arrangement. We've issued the invitation, and they have used our e-platform to submit their application. Only basic personal information is needed. Say, for example, name, passport number, and also a very preliminary basic information and what they're doing, so we can handle the applications with such information. And going forward, believe that the program will be very popular, and I believe the number will go higher and higher. A number of inquiries have been made by people, but they're still in the process of understanding the program or the scheme. And we believe that going forward, the number of applications will surge. Mr. Ma, you still have some time. Would you like to follow up? So how long does it take for you to approve the applications? And how long does it take for you to make the invitation? Not more than 2 weeks. And believe that in actual effect, it will even be shorter. It will even be shorter than 2 weeks. Mr. Ma, no, nothing further from me. Next, Mr. Benson, look. Thank you, Chair. We have a good partnership with ASEAN countries. And ASEAN countries are becoming an increasingly important partner to Hong Kong in terms of business and tourism. And in the paper, it sets out the facilitation measures in terms of visa and immigration. That's something good. And for Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, to my understanding, Myanmar has made visa on arrival arrangements for Hong Kong people. But for the other 3 countries, they still need Hong Kong people to get different types of visa before entering them. and the international scenery is changing rapidly. And in terms of the development of our business and tourism, we will definitely go into ASEAN countries. So does the administration have any plan to talk to these four countries, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, and Vietnam, to discuss the possibility of visa-free or mutual visa-free arrangements so that more business travelers and visitors can come to Hong Kong and vice versa? And if you don't have such a plan, what are the hurdles you are facing? I think the questions are very clear. Secretary, please. On these four countries, we've been in constant dialogue with them. Well, in fact, three countries, because Myanmar has already made available visa on arrival arrangement. We've been talking to these three countries, and they are also maybe asking for reciprocal arrangement from us as well. But some are not asking for that. And we have to consider whether we can meet with their request. Anyway, we'll be heading towards that direction, and hopefully the more visa-free the number of countries are, the better. So what do you mean, Secretary? You are still, say, adopting the multiple visa entry visa arrangement for these several countries? Now, for Hong Kong people going to these four countries, a visa is required, i.e. Cambodia, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Laos. A visa is required for Hong Kong people going to these countries. And Mr. Look's question is asking whether we would arrange for visa-free arrangement. We've been talking to them on that. And some countries are asking for reciprocal arrangements from Hong Kong, and perhaps we may not be able to do that, accede to that request. I hope that the administration can continue with work on that front. Say for Laos, we have a lot of exchanges with them in terms of business and flow of people. And if we can have mutual visa-free arrangements, that would be good. That should be our mid to long-term goal. I hope that the administration can follow up duly on that. And Secretary what the Secretary meant is that they would have to balance out the risks. Mr. Johnny, I support your work, and that is implementing facilitation measures for business travelers. Last year, I visited with the CE, three countries, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. There are a number of business cooperation opportunities, and I know that they are very interested in coming to Hong Kong to have exchanges and cooperation. And 240 people have been invited. I think the program has achieved initial success. Have you taken reference from similar arrangements in other regions or countries? Will these kind of facilitation measures be really able to help? And then I would like to say something about the multi-entry visa. You are relaxing the threshold to attract quality or high-end visitors to Hong Kong. I have some suggestions. Apart from ASEAN countries, I think you should also think along similar lines for major cities in China, like Shanghai, Beijing, and Chongqing, to attract high-end visitors and business visitors, travelers to Hong Kong. So can you talk to the mainland about implementing an invited persons scheme on the mainland cities? And for Asian Games to be held soon, and if we can have enhance our multiple entry visa arrangement, we'll be able to help attract more visitors to Hong Kong. Would you be expanding this multiple entry visa program? If yes, what are the details? If not, why not? 3 questions. Will this program be extended to other regions? We will definitely consider that. the scheme has been up and running for less than 1 month. I will be gauging the response, reviewing the process before charting out the way forward. This is something that we're definitely going to do. And then Dr. Ng also mentioned about multiple entry visa being extended to mainland cities. What the visa arrangement for mainland cities differs from that for ASEAN countries. And for some mainland cities, we have the individual traveler scheme. We have 59 cities covering also all the GBA cities. They have the individual visitor scheme, and people can travel freely to Hong Kong provided they have the relevant document. And for a multiple entry visa, that is only implemented in Shenzhen now. Now, as to whether the multiple entry visa arrangement can be expanded to cover more cities on the mainland, we are in constant dialogue with the state, our country, on that. Hopefully, more mainlanders can come to Hong Kong more easily, and they can have multiple visits to Hong Kong. This is the goal that we are heading towards. And the arrangement differs from that implemented for the ASEAN countries. Well, for the ASEAN program, it's a Hong Kong scheme. Now, under the facilitation measure, and if ASEAN nationals in the past 12 months have made 3 visits to over 2 countries, a multiple entry visa can be issued to them. For multiple entry visa, apart from ASEAN countries, so this is implemented also for other countries as well. And then about the Chinese National Games, we hope that more tourists from around the world can be drawn to Hong Kong, and also more mainlanders can come to Hong Kong. We will be talking to the mainland authorities as to how or whether we should be relaxing certain measures and to provide more facilitation to the visitors, including those from the mainland, so that they can come to Hong Kong to watch the games. Mr. Martin Liao? Thank you, Chair. I have a question about the application scope for the Immigration Facilitation Scheme for Invited Persons. The payment mentions about 5 bureaus, including FSTB, CEDB, ITIB, CSTB, and the Department of Justice, are responsible for recommending and inviting the relevant ASEAN nationals. And Hong Kong has much room in further cooperating with ASEAN nationals in terms of education. In the 2024 policy address, the chief executive has proposed a number of targeted measures in that regard. Will the administration consider also covering people from the education sector under the scheme? Inviting, say, these education professionals to come to Hong Kong to participate in education seminars, conferences, exhibitions, so that we can have a further cooperation with our counterparts in the ASEAN countries in the education front, and also research personnel, students, and teachers from ASEAN countries can also be invited to come and study and teach in Hong Kong, so that's to further build Hong Kong into an education hub and a quality talent hub.
Thank you, Mr. Liao, and thank you, Madam Chair. I agree fully with what you said, Mr. Liao. That is, there is room for further relaxation. And now, 5 bureaus have been involved, including the immigration, and also the culture, and also the IT Bureau, and so on and so forth. But then for arts and culture, the scope is very broad already, and therefore, other than those from the industrial sector, investment sector, wholesale and retail, medical, healthcare, they are also included. And therefore, for financial sector, of course, that would also be under consideration. First, we will have to see how popular it has become, and also how the workflow can be further improved, and then we will make further adjustment in order to introduce other people so that they can also be incorporated under the scheme. Okay. Next, Mr. Yang Wing Kit, Deputy Chairman. Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to follow up further on the multiple visa scheme, because the Secretary said that this scheme is somewhat different from that available for mainland people. So I'd like to understand more about the objective, because for the multi-entry visa for mainlanders, that's basically to invite them to come and visit so that they would be coming for sightseeing and so on. But now for the ASEAN countries, you're actually doing that for business purposes. So is it very similar to the business visa arrangement? So can you explain a bit further? And also, just now in para 6 of the paper, you also talk about lowering the threshold so that even for people studying here, they would also be eligible. In fact, well, in many Southeast Asian countries, they're also involved in the jewelry sector. And even in Hong Kong, there are many jewelry stores that have close link with these ASEAN countries, and even for our jewelry exhibition, many people from these countries also take part. So basically, can they come and join or participate in such exhibitions? Would they be eligible for such relaxation? That's the first question. And also, I'd like to know whether or not the Bureau would also be working with different departments in order to tell them these good stories, because this is a very good policy, because that would provide greater facilitation. And I'm sure once more people from ASEAN countries are aware of this, they would also like to come. It's not just about immigration, because that would also involve the different bureaus. So would the different bureaus be working together to publicize the scheme? That's the second part. Thank you. Yes, Secretary. You talk about education. In fact, in 2023, in the policy address, we have already relaxed the requirement for these for people from these countries to come and study, and then they can stay here after graduation so that they can also work in Hong Kong. And also, you talk about the jewelry sector. In fact, out of the 240 invitations that we have sent out, some of them have got to do with the jewelry sector, because well, jewelry is very much a part of the business activities. And also, ASEAN and also the mainland have both got a multiple visa scheme, but then the nature would be somewhat different, because for mainlanders, they come here mainly for visit, but then for ASEAN countries, basically the scheme is to facilitate people from the dedicated sectors or specific sectors who would make contribution to our economy. And once you are invited under the immigration facilitation scheme for invited persons, then basically you would also be entitled to multiple entry visa. And you would also be able to make use of the electronic platform to use the courtesy channels, etc. And therefore, we have already done some risk assessments, and therefore, your risk would be relatively low according to our assessment. And therefore, in the past, only those who met certain requirements would be able to use such facilitation measures, and now more people will be eligible. Thank you. What about working with other bureaus and departments in publicizing the scheme? Yes, publicity is not just done by the Security Bureau or the Immigration Department. All the bureaus and departments involved would also be involved in stepping up publicity. For example, we would be working with chambers of commerce, as some members have suggested, because chambers of commerce would also be able to reach out to different sectors, and we'd like to make use of the scheme so that we'd be able to identify suitable persons who can make use of the scheme, and therefore different bureaus and departments have been doing a lot of publicity already. Thank you. Next, Elizabeth Quat. Thank you, Madam Chair. I fully support the Security Bureau's initiative in providing more facilitation measures for ASEAN visitors, because for the benefit of our economy, in fact, we are serving as the window of our country, and therefore we are a super connector, and therefore we should also work closer with ASEAN countries. I can see that you have the multiple visa scheme. You also have the visa on arrival and different facilitation measures to attract more visitors from ASEAN countries to come to Hong Kong for sightseeing and developments. I support that. And now, different bureaus are involved in this immigration facilitation scheme for invited persons, and specifically some members have also talked about the education sector. I think that's very important. I hope that the Education Bureau can also take part. And young people and also environment and ecology should also be developed as well. I can see that many young people from ASEAN countries do not know a lot about our country or Hong Kong in these areas, and therefore if we can have more youth exchange, and I understand that many ASEAN countries are very enthusiastic about conservation and environmental protection, and Hong Kong would also like to develop in this area. And therefore, other than youth, environment, ecology, education, medical and healthcare, IT, and so on, we can step up our collaboration with ASEAN countries, and therefore we should also consider in these areas. And also you talk about visa-free arrangement, and I heard from the Secretary that we hope that this would be bilateral. That is, if we can have visa-free arrangements both ways, that would also be good. But then I can see that many countries are only prepared to offer one-way visa-free arrangement. And therefore, if the Security Bureau doesn't have specific reasons, and of course, if there are special reasons, then of course we should bear that in mind. And if we are prepared to, and if we are able to get visa-free arrangement from those countries, then we should also consider reciprocate, so that we would also be offering visa-free arrangement to them, so that for ASEAN countries that have been working with us for a long time, they should also be able to get that benefit. Secretary, yes, I'd like to reiterate that this is just a start. And I fully agree with what you said. Education, environment, ecology, youth are the areas that we should look into further. And we just rolled out that electronic platform. And since it's a very new scheme, and therefore we would like to see how the response might be before further fine-tuning that. And I hope that ultimately all the bureaus can get involved so that they could also invite appropriate persons to join the scheme. And we can also consider how we can further expedite the pace of opening up. And the next question is about visa. Well, we have already got 170 territories and countries where they would be prepared to offer us a visa-free arrangement. So we are also doing something similar. So for people who are eligible, they can get 7 to 180 days visa-free entry into Hong Kong. But then there are also countries which have effective immigration controls. And just now, Dr. Kwok also asked whether or not that should be bilateral. And in fact, there are different considerations. We would be prepared to offer exemption or waiver of visa after we have done risk assessments. For example, if certain countries are eligible, then we would be prepared to consider. Next, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok. Thank you, Madam Chair. As we all know, the Trump administration is now waging this tariff trade war to countries all over the world. In particular, they are targeting our country, and therefore we would have to make more friends. And ASEAN is a very major market, and they are also our neighbor. And therefore, I fully support wherever possible, we should offer and do this in an orderly manner. That is, we should attract more people to come to Hong Kong to engage in different activities. Well, ASEAN has 10 countries, and out of those, 6 countries are already able to enjoy visa-free arrangements when they come to Hong Kong. And today, in the paper put forward by the administration, we are actually looking at Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. These are the remaining 4 countries in ASEAN. And if we are able to attract more people from these countries, then mainly they would be from Vietnam and Cambodia. And then for Myanmar, the situation is relatively complicated. And then for Vietnam, well, when we go there, we all need to get electronic visa, and the price is not cheap. And also, many people would go to that outlying island because many people enjoy vacation there. And therefore, the first thing that we want to do is to ask the secretary to liaise with the Vietnamese authorities so that for people going there, they should be able to enjoy visa-free arrangement. And secondly, on the multiple entry visa scheme, well, the figures look very nice because as far as Vietnam is concerned, before the introduction of this, some 320 visas were given, and now that has increased by 75 times, increased to some 5,000. Still, is still a relatively low figure. I don't know what's the performance pledge because they promised that within 4 weeks they would be able to process and complete the processing of the applications wherever possible. Is it possible to shorten the performance pledge so that it can be further expedited? For example, in the paper you said that for fast-track visa, that would be completed in 2 weeks. And then for multiple visa, given the fact that you have already got this basic requirement, for example, within 12 months, they have been here for at least 3 times. And then you are also saying that so long as they have trouble-free trips to other countries other than Hong Kong, they would also be given or allowed to apply for multiple entry visas. So is there a chance that you can further shorten it? Because when people apply for multiple entry visa to Hong Kong, one of their considerations would definitely be, well, how long does it take for you to process the application? And if you're able to shorten the period for processing, well, indeed, in reality, that may just take 2 weeks or even 1 week instead of 4 weeks. But then, given the fact that you have pledged that you would complete that processing within 4 weeks, then people would have some doubt, and therefore that would also serve as a barrier. And therefore, you will have to go back and think about it. Yes, you have also provided many positive figures. I'd like to see if there are negative figures. For example, you talk about the number of approvals. For example, for Vietnam, about 4,970 were approved. And then even for Cambodia, 110 were approved. But what about those who have had their applications declined? If you can give us those figures, then we would be able to see a complete picture. Last but not least, you should also work with the tourism sector. Yes, you have the fast-track visa for group travelers, but then the number is still not very large. 447 groups involving some 5,300. In other words, only about 10 people in each group. And Vietnamese economy is now moving on the right track. And I believe that there are many from the middle class who would like to visit Hong Kong as well. And therefore, in this regard, I hope that you can do a bit more liaison work so that for those who would like to come to Hong Kong, the number can also grow. Okay, several issues. So we have got sufficient time, and therefore please do give them a detailed reply. Well, for Vietnam, when Hong Kong people go there, well, they need to apply for visa. We have been asking for visa-free arrangement, and I've also been there to meet with some senior officials asking for the relaxation of visa arrangement. And Vietnam is one of the countries that we have been working very hard to see if we can get visa-free arrangement. So rest assured that we would be working on it. And the second, as Mr. Lai just mentioned, you talk about our performance pledge, that the application will be processed within 4 weeks. Indeed, as you said, most cases will have the applications processed within 4 weeks or even less. And of course, where appropriate, well, we might try to set it at over 99.9% of the time that we can achieve it before we would set it as a performance pledge. But now, actually, even well, if 99.6% can be completed in 3 weeks, and then only a handful of cases could be completed within 4 weeks, and I think it's appropriate time for us to review the situation so that we can reflect the situation more accurately as to how long it would take for such applications to be processed. As for fast-track arrangement for group travelers, the reason why it has taken that long, because for group travelers, we would know exactly what time they would be where and what they would be doing and so on.
And then the travel agents who know how to gather information and supplement further information and so on. So that can help with us fast-tracking the arrangement. We are optimizing the multiple entry visa arrangement, and the number of rejections is really, really minimal. Well, in fact, there has not been a single application which has been rejected. All of the applications have been approved. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lai, further follow-up. Thank you, Secretary, for accepting my recommendation. Mr. Lee Chen-kung. Thank you, Chair. The administration said that it will further streamline the visa processing arrangement. I think that's very good. And I hope that you can facilitate nationals from these 4 countries coming to Hong Kong. And I agree with your initiative. I know that you are taking only now the first step, and I hope that going forward, what kind of blueprint will you be drawing up? So what would you consider in, say, implementing visa-free arrangements or visa on arrival, so that those who are coming to Hong Kong can at least, say, spend a certain hours in Hong Kong? Now, as for the immigration facilitation scheme for invited persons, so it will be the FSTB, CEDB, ITIB, CSTB, and the Department of Justice, which are inviting the ASEAN nationals. So, say if someone in those countries think that they are really community leaders, can they proactively come forth to apply for the status, say through a certain marking scheme, so that these people can come to spend in Hong Kong and also share with us their business initiatives and experience? Thank you, Secretary. On visa on arrival, this is a complicated issue. We have to assess the risks involved, and we'll have to review the situation in a timely manner. We may not be able to implement it now. Now, as for the invited person scheme, the scheme carries the benefits of being really fast and very convenient, and through the different bureaus, we know that certain people carry low risk, and they may be community leaders, they run big businesses, they are leaders of chambers of commerce. So we can use a very simple approach to invite them, and they don't have to furnish us with certain information like the financial information and so on. And when they come to Hong Kong, we can provide them with a lot of facilitation measures. Now, if we allow people to come forth to apply, we have to go through a certain vetting process, which will be a cumbersome process. And if we allow this to be implemented, then we might lower the efficiency of the scheme, because the scheme right now, as it is, we don't have to go through cumbersome vetting process. So allowing people to come forth to apply is not the original intent of the scheme. Now, we have talked to those in certain sectors, and if these people told us that they recognize this person and he or she carries a low risk, and then we will inform the relevant bureaus, and then the bureaus can take this up, and then the bureau can invite this person. Mr. Lee, what the Secretary said, say, if the Chambers of Commerce recommend certain persons, then the Chambers of Commerce can recommend these people to the relevant bureaus, and then the bureaus will consider the applications. In fact, the chambers of commerce are talking to us and are recommending certain persons to the bureaus for our invitation. This is one of our approaches. Yes. Next is my time to ask a question. I'm all for this scheme, especially given the current world situation, the trade war and so on and so forth. So important for us to build a good relationship with the ASEAN countries. And the Secretary said that it would consider expanding the scheme to other countries as well. What I would like to find out is whether your alert system will help us, because the Immigration Department does have a sort of alert system. You have to strike a balance. Well, in the FC meeting last week, I learned that there were some 6,000 non-refoulement cases coming from Vietnam. And I understand that you have to strike a balance between facilitation and risk control. So have you made the right balance? And then secondly, and maybe the Secretary and the Assistant Immigration, Deputy Director of Immigration can say something more about the self-service immigration clearance. How is it actually implemented? Can you elaborate on the self-service immigration clearance scheme? Thirdly, the overseas ETO, are they helping us with publicizing the scheme in the different locations? Thank you. Can I tackle the question one by one? First, about ETOs. Yes, they do help us. The CEDB runs the ETOs, and through the ETOs, we are publicizing the scheme among the business communities in the different countries. And the ETOs are familiar with the local situation in these countries. And ETOs also make recommendations on the persons to be invited under the scheme. Now, as for the the self-service immigration clearance, when the invited persons come to Hong Kong, they can use the courtesy channel. Now, after they have gone through the immigration and not yet to the customs counter, well, at the room by the window, there is a counter helping people to use the e-channel. Now, if you are a qualified, say for people coming from APAC, they come to Hong Kong for more than 3 times in a year, they can make a registration at this counter. And next time when they come to Hong Kong, they can use the service. It's very convenient. And there is a big banner in front of the counter, which is very visible. So they can make the registration there. And also the alert system. There is another sort of gatekeeping approach. About the alert system, well, this is not targeting the invited persons. This is targeted at people whom we don't want them to come to Hong Kong. Unlike under the very unlikely scenario when these invited persons are not, in fact, allowed to come into Hong Kong, then we would resort to the alert system. Well, it's very unlikely that these invited persons will be denied entry into Hong Kong. So the scheme is not really related to the alert system. The alert system is really targeting at people who would be denied entry into Hong Kong. So I would like also take to this opportunity to say something more about these ASEAN nationals, say those from Vietnam. The number of non-refoulement cases from Vietnam is relatively on the high side. Most of them are illegal immigrants, and they're filing for non-refoulement claims. and say if they come through legal channels and they overstay in Hong Kong and they apply for non-refoulement, so the number of such people is really on the low side. And Vietnam, or non-refoulement cases from Vietnam take up only a small portion of the overall non-refoulement cases. Mr. Huden Chow, thank you, Chair. I would like to express my thanks to the administration for heeding DAB's views. When DAB visited the ASEAN countries 2 years ago, the stakeholders in the business community there reflected to us as to whether the Hong Kong SL government can relax certain measures to facilitate business travelers coming to Hong Kong. And I am seeing the results which are out of our discussion. And I thank the government for really implementing such measures. And I hope and I believe that it can help drive the development of the economy as a whole. Now, we're talking about the multiple entry visit visas for invited persons. And we are really talking about these 4 ASEAN countries where visa arrangements still in place. Now, we talk about self-service immigration clearance. Say, for the 6 countries like Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, people coming to Hong Kong are on a visa-free arrangements. But if they are invited persons, would they be offered, say, a self-service immigration clearance arrangement? At the full electrical meeting, I also said the same. Some overseas visitors have told us that during peak season, they have to queue for a long time to go through the immigration. Well, it will be much faster if they can use a self-service clearance channel. Well, since they are invited persons, shouldn't we also provide them with more facilitation in terms of offering the self-service clearance service to them? So, can the administration tell us whether such facilitation can be provided to other countries where visa is not required? Yes, your understanding is correct. For the remaining 6 countries, these are visa-free countries, and we can also invite nationals of these countries as invited persons, and they can also use the courtesy channel when they come to Hong Kong. And they can also register for immediate enjoyment of the self-service immigration clearance. And I also like to express my thanks to the electrical members for offering us very good suggestions. As the government officials, we are not experts in every field. And as long as the suggestion made by members is feasible and good, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be heeding your views. So, members, do you have any other suggestions or views on this topic? No? And those who have spoken are fully support for these facilitation measures, and we have raised some views. Please consider them. Agenda item 5, replacement of radio communication system for Customs Drug Investigation Bureau of the Customs and Excise Department. Can the administration team be invited to join us, please? And this item has to do with financial proposals. So all other members of the LegCo have been invited to take part in this discussion of this item. According to Rules of Procedure 83A, at the meeting, members should if they have a direct or indirect pecuniary interest in the matters to be discussed, they should disclose the nature of their interest before they speak. If members have direct or indirect pecuniary interest on the matter to be discussed, please disclose the nature of that interest. So, Under Secretary, are you ready? If yes, please walk us through the paper. Paper number CB bracket 2 554/2025. bracket 04. For those who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button. Under Secretary, please.
Today I'm here with colleagues from the Customs and Excise Department to consult members on the replacement of radio communication systems for the department. Well, the C&E department is responsible for investigating truck-related cases, and we would need to have radio communication system to assist us, and a reliable system would be critical in assisting us in investigation. And the current system has been in place for over 20 years. It has already exceeded its normal serviceable life, and the model is no longer manufactured, and therefore we will need to have a new model and new system in the new generation. And the new proposed system would be and will see enhancement in terms of its functionality and so on, and that would assist the overall effectiveness of our enforcement operations. They would be using the state-of-the-art technology, because it will be able to accommodate the technology under use, and the coverage would also be a lot broader, and the speed would be a lot faster, and the encryption would be a lot better and more reliable. And the new system will be based upon the existing radio communication system, and on top of that we would also adopt or have more comprehensive coverage with the telecommunication provider network, and there would also be new radio communication system that would also be better that would also be able to better meet the needs of the CDIB. And given the fact that we have more syndicated crimes internationally, and therefore we will continue to review our needs in terms of the advanced equipment, because we believe that a new system would be able to enhance the effectiveness of the CDIB's work, and we will also be able to stop the inflow of drugs, and that would also help serve maintain our social stability and so on. And therefore I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you. We have 4 members who would like to speak. I'll read out the names: Johnny Ng, Chen Pui Leung, Benson Lok, and Edmund Wong. So 4 members. So we have got sufficient time, and therefore 5 minutes each, including both questions and answers. Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you. The C&E department has been working very successfully in terms of dealing with drug-related cases, and that has been commended by many people. And you're proposing to upgrade the system as the paper sets out. It has been in place for more than 20 years, and therefore it's about time for us to upgrade the system. And the proposed funding would be about $19 million. We haven't got the details yet. Still, I think that the price is about right. So my question is, what Para 7D talks about the enhanced security and reliability, given the fact that there will be higher encryption standards. Basically it's IES standards, and that's already the highest standard. So even if it's IES 128 and so on, well, if they want to break into the system, that would take several hundred years, and even if they use AI systems, that would not be easy to crack. And therefore, as you know, in the Middle East last year, there was a radio system or terminals that exploded remote control. So what about people who might have planted something in the hardware maliciously? So how can you make sure that the system will be safe? Yes, about security and safety. Secretary, well, maintaining national security is of course our policy. So all departments, including the C&E department, would have the duty to uphold and maintain national security, and the C&E department, being an enforcement agency, would also have to make sure that anything that has to do with enforcement would also take into account national security. And therefore, in the new system, including the hardware and the software of the new system, we would also have to factor in this national security issue, including the security of the supply chain and also the future repair and maintenance issue. Everything will be taken into account. So rest assured that we will leave no stone unturned. Next, thank you. I support this proposal because the system and also the radio terminals have been in use for over 20 years, and it has to be replaced because there is no further supply of spare parts and so on. And you talk about the transmission mode. Other than the C&E department's telecommunication network, you're also going to use the service suppliers network. So it's going to be a dual system. But then in terms of security, that would also be enhanced. Still, you're talking about the telecommunication service suppliers network. It's an open network. And therefore, in terms of security, would that pose some risk? I'd like to know a bit further into this. And also, this paper also says that, when you procure such radio terminals and so on, there aren't that many suppliers in the market, and therefore the choice is, there aren't many choices, and also the cost is also quite high. So I'd like to know if we were to procure such a system, so how many such terminals will have to be replaced? So can we just rely on one single supplier? You also talk about national security considerations. So have we also considered manufacturers on the mainland? So will we give them priority? Because to us that would appear to be safer. Okay, 3 questions. Security as Secretary. Yes, thank you for your question. Well, the new system will be based on the existing system. So the existing system is a digital system, and the use is very reliable and stable, and that would also and secure the system security is highly encrypted. And now we're going to introduce the telecommunication service providers network. In simple terms, is also a telephone network. So the thing that we need to consider is the network security, and therefore in the software that would cost some $7-8 million, so that we'd have to have an interface between the two, so that there would be transmission of the signals, and that would also be highly secured. We would not compromise security. So that's an advanced encryption standard. And also you talk about the radio terminals. You're right. I'm sure you're an expert in this field, because it's not like walkie-talkies. It's not like common walkie-talkies, because there are many available in the market, and there are also different models available. But then when we need to set up something that is suitable for enforcement purposes by the C&E department, we will have to make sure that the terminals would be secure, and therefore there aren't that many suppliers that can do this. And therefore, in terms of the actual number of terminals, because if we disclose the number, that would also disclose our enforcement ability. So I just say that it be between 200 and 300. As to how much it would cost per terminal, well, for single spectrum terminal, that would cost about $15,000 for one terminal. But then if it's to meet our security requirement, and also if we were to use a dual mode, that would cost something between 25 and 30,000. And of course we would also have to make sure that it's rugged, waterproof and dust proof, and it's also durable, and therefore the requirement is higher. But now what we are applying for in terms of funding, we would set a budget which would be using the upper limit in the market. And in terms of procurement, as I told Mr. Ng when I answered his question earlier, national security would definitely be one of our considerations. And the reference point is that the system under use is also from a mainland manufacturer, and therefore rest assured we will make sure that it's safe. Next, Mr. Edmund Wong. Yes, I agree. that the CDIB of the C&E department will need to replace its existing radio communication system. I believe that one of the main reasons is that it has already exceeded its normal serviceable life, and therefore I hope that this is not too technical a question. But then normally, when it comes to such radio communication system, what's the normal serviceable life? And also you're spending some $20 million to procure a new system. So for how long it can be in use? And also, how many colleagues from the CDIB will be able to benefit from that? That's the first question. The second question is about the background and also the justifications. I understand that in the paper, you said that in recent years, for the number of drug-related cases cracked by the C&E department, in terms of the figures, they are quite good. But then, for the specific figures, maybe there is some problem in relation to the number of drugs imported into Hong Kong, because you said that it went up from 797 to 1,363 in 2024, representing an increase of about 71%, whereas the quantities of drugs seized surged from 1,017 kilograms in 2014 to 6,301 kilograms in 2024. So, does that show that Hong Kong has become a transshipment center for drugs? Because you can see that for Hong Kong people, if you look at the number of drug addicts, that has not multiplied significantly. But then if you look at the number of cases being cracked and also the number of drugs smuggled into Hong Kong, apparently there has been a sharp rise. So what is the reason? Is it because of the system upgrade, or is it because of the efforts or strategies that we have adopted in cracking such cases? Can something further be done in order to further enhance the effectiveness? Okay, the first question is very much related to this, and the second is related to some hidden problems in relation to such drug cases. So it might be related, but then I think the first is more relevant. First, answer the first question. This is about the serviceable life of the new system. I'll divide it into two parts. First is about the radio terminals. It can be used for 20 years. And if you look at our internal technology, we are actually doing the repair and maintenance in-house. And that would also help extend the serviceable life by a couple of years. And then the second part is about the network. Well, in terms of the network, that can be used something between 10 and 15 years, and we believe that the existing system is still very stable if it's properly prepared, and therefore we believe that it can be used for another 5 years. And you also asked about the manpower of the CDIB. We believe that 200 to 300 would be enough for use by the CDIB. And also, if you look at the past 10 years, if you look at the drug situation and so on, I'll defer to my colleague, Mr. Wong, to explain. So it's Mr. Wong Ho Yin. He's the Assistant Commissioner. Well, if you look at the number of cases in the past 10 years and also the drugs seized, well, that went up very sharply. And some might say that Hong Kong has become a transshipment center for drugs. In fact, when compared to elsewhere around the world, many transportation hubs have also become drug centers. And Hong Kong has a comprehensive transport network, and therefore it's very convenient when you ship something to Hong Kong and also have them ship out from Hong Kong, and therefore Hong Kong would also be exposed to certain risks when it serves as a transshipment center. And of course, the Hong Kong Customs and Excise Department has been working very closely with other enforcement agencies in terms of intelligence exchange and so on. And as a result, we have been able to seize more drugs and so on. Thank you.
Okay, next one, Mr. Edmund Wong. Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to compliment the CNED. The system has been in use for 10 years. It's something remarkable. And they are now asking for a replacement because the old system has become old. So does it mean that the new system will also be tacked onto the old system? Now, CNED has a system which is being used. So does it mean that the new system will be tacked onto the old system and that the relevant information will be encrypted? It's better that way. And the paper says that the system is supposed to protect the offices who are using the system because the situation on site may be changing very rapidly. What is the latent time related to the system? Because of encryption and decryption, there may be a latent period of 2 to seconds, and that may make a great difference to the law enforcement officers. There might be some hidden risks. So what is the latent period or latent time within the system? It's 2 questions. For the radio communication system, it will be custom made for the CNED, and it is different from other systems used by the CNED. And this system was custom made for the CDIB in view of their operations. The system in use now is already an encryption system. We would be adopting the same encryption standard in the new system. When the new system is in place, the old radio terminals will be replaced. So there will not be any issue of incompatibility between the 2 systems. And right now, the radio terminals used by our investigation officers, there might be a latency period. It will not affect our operations. The coverage in the new system will be better. Right now, there might be blind spots under the old system. In the new system, there will be a lot less blind spots. And we don't think that the new system will be poorer in terms of its performance compared to the old system. The new system will cover all parts of Hong Kong. Will the information go to the repeater before it gets down again? Well, you can use different approaches under the new system. Now, you mentioned about the information getting to the base stations and then getting to the control center at our headquarters, or the investigation officers can communicate among themselves directly. Yes, I'm in support of the proposal. Any further question from members? If not, then that's it for this item. For those who have spoken, we are unanimously in support of forwarding this funding proposal to the Finance Committee for their scrutiny. Yes, we are all agreed on that. Thank you, Undersecretary, for coming. Item 6, AOB. No AOB. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.